So hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Saadiq. And it is the Demetra K show where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always strive to do better. So also like to say a big giant thank you to Donovan and YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers. You are participants because we read your comments, questions, and concerns as well. Also, like to say a big giant thank you to Marcus Guyton for everything he does behind the scenes on Facebook to make the show go further. And so, who's on here? Taya, how you doing? He says he was gaining too much momentum. You can almost be certain that they told him to or strongly suggest that he leave or else. Mr. Pan, how you doing? He said it's very important to gatekeep resources and ideas from outsiders. Go better. How you doing this evening? And Brother Reggie, what's going on with you? So today, if you haven't already seen, we are talking about that of Deion Sanders and the discovery that he is going to be leaving Jackson State University for Colorado University. So he's going from an HBCU to that of a private white institution. And there's a lot of debate regarding it. So we're going to get into that. So let's see who else came on here. Midrash, how you doing? And Darshan, what's going on with you? Jen, Michael, and Stacy. Midrash says he's prime time. The star of the show is always about him. Maybe I'm the only one that's not surprised. Good business move for him. Bad move for all the kids who were showing interest in Black colleges. Yes, indeed. All right. And so last one, Deshaun says Deion Sanders left Jackson State, but he also left that young man looked up to him and that program. I just think he should have stayed. I know Colorado offering more. And Kara, how you doing? Jay Bubba and Jamarcus. All right, so Donovan, what say you before we get into it?
All right, I want to say welcome to the show, you guys. It's another Sunday, and if it's Sunday, it is Demetra K. Please, 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 I have Spectrum cable internet, so of course, if you guys that have that, you guys know it sucks. So if I end up flashing out of here, it's because of the cable company. This is an interesting topic, and it's just funny. Everybody's got an opinion on it, and no opinion is the utmost right answer. It's just an opinion. Why is it that when Black coaches or just Black people go on to bigger and better pastures or possibly making more money, whatever, we're supposed to stay? This man's got a family and he got a legacy that he has to build within himself. So this is going to be an interesting topic. I'm really looking forward to it. But also do us a favor. Share this on your profiles and your platforms, because the more people talk about it, the more the ideas get out there and the more we could kind of have an intelligent conversation. And also, if you guys feel so, the spirit, it does take a lot of money and time to put together a show. So if you look at the bottom of the scrolling app down there, we have Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and you can also listen to us on the podcast profiles that are all out there. So Demetra, it's going to be a great topic. Everybody knows Primetime dropped his album with the MC Hammer back in the day, and a great football player, a Hall of Famer. So let's see what everybody's got to say.
So yes, indeed. Who else came on here before I get started? We have Tawana. How you doing? Monet, Sean, and Yvette. How you doing? And Brother Don, our moderator. How are you? Beverly and Jason. What's going on with you? And Patty. And I'm going to try my best to catch up and read you guys' comments as I get into why we are here. So of course, right now, many of y'all, and I do not profess to be a sports fan, so I'm going to do my best. So anyway, Deion Sanders, who they call Prime Time, who has won 2 Super Bowls. Plus, he is like an all-around athlete, basketball, baseball, football. So I think it's safe to say that he is a pretty good athlete, right? So in 2020, he signed a contract with Jackson State University in Mississippi to be their head coach. He signed on to the tune of, I think it was like $1.2 million for 4 years. And it also sounds like he donated like 3/4 or a quarter, rather, whatever it is, of his salary to help get some of the facilities built there in Jackson State University. And so he went on with the 3 years that he has been there to win 27 games with a 5-game loss in 3 years. And so I guess that is pretty impressive. Sounds like he helped turn the school around. And so moving forward to yesterday, it was announced, and it sounds like a lot of people started, well, it was speculation before, but it was kind of announced during the game against Southern. And I want y'all to listen to this. So I'm going to play you guys a series of videos. So check this out.
Let's get country like Jackson State. Hey, Jackson, sounds like you need to be getting ready for a new head coach. How come the coach don't want you no more? I told y'all he wasn't swag. Coach Prime is about to be big balling.
So that was the announcer during, I guess, the halftime show, kind of taunting the Jackson State University students and, people who are their fans, that Coach Sanders was indeed leaving. Said that he was not SWAC, which is Southern Athletic Conference, which deals with the HBCUs in the South. Sounds like predominantly their football. And so he, again, is going to Colorado University, which is a private white institution. Now, they said that he will be making about $25 million over a 5-year time with Colorado State University. Now, the other thing that it's a lot being said, right? But one of the things is with Deion Sanders, he was able to convince a lot of students, and one particular was Travis Hunter. I guess he was considered the #1 high school draft pick to come to Jackson State. Deion's sons is there as well. And so people are saying, well, what about them, right? So after the announcement during the game and after the game was over, it doesn't sound like Deion and the team did a press conference at all. They said it was a no-show. But in the locker room, I guess it was, this is partially what he said about leaving.
I know y'all been hearing the rumors and everything that's been transpiring around about my whereabouts and what I'm going to do. And I like for y'all to hear it from me and not from anyone else. It is what it is. Either in coaching, you get elevated or you get terminated. Ain't no other way. You either elevated or terminated. And it ain't no graveyard for coaches where they die at the place. It don't work like that. They either gonna run you off or you gonna walk off upon your own recognizance. I've chosen to accept the job elsewhere next year. I'm gonna finish what we started. We're gonna dominate. I'm gonna be here to that end and that conclusion. And then when that conclusion, we will move on.
Okay, so again, y'all heard him say, either you leave on your own or whatever, you elevate or you get terminated, basically. The elevator get terminated. So obviously elevation is going to Colorado University where the money is better. And, some people are saying that he's going to be able to have better recruiting issues, I guess, I don't know, and all of that kind of stuff. We'll get into that. But a lot of people are kind of calling him to the carpet because he said this when he first started going to Jackson State University as to why going to HBCUs were important. So this is what he said.
That's what I can truly, honestly say. And it's just sitting on that stage and looking my people in the eye and saying and proclaiming what I plan on doing with this program. We have a coaching staff that has 84 years of NFL experience combined coaching and playing. And these kids just need the level field just leveled. They need the playing field leveled. I cannot wait for this opportunity. If you give us the resources, you give us the same resources that these other schools have, we're going to prove that there is a highway that takes you from Jackson State all the way into the NFL and professionalism. We're not just raising professional football players, we're raising professional.
So that's what he said when he first started going, that I want to level the playing field and, all of that. And so people are like, well, what happened to that? Like some people are saying, well, you raised the hopes of the HBCU, specifically that of Jackson State, where some top students started to go to HBCUs. Of course, Deion Sanders is one of the best to ever do it. Some people are even saying that he is even good enough to coach, an NFL team. So now he's going over to this private white institution, Colorado University, where they are excited that he's coming over. Sounds like he has been hired to turn their program around and get top recruits and this, that, and the other. And people are like, well, Colorado State or Colorado University has a lot of opportunities and way more money than Jackson State and, things like that. But I saw too where Deion says it's not about a bag. He's not going about the money. He's, going for, I guess, other opportunities. Now, it should be said that Deion Sanders is worth about $40 million from what I saw. I don't know, the numbers could be skewed, but about $40 million. So he has money. $25 million, one would argue, over a 5-year time is quite a bit of money to pass up on simply for the love of the culture. And that's kind of what the argument is. Is he leaving for money, or is he, basically dumping the HBCUs or the culture to go hang out with white people for money? So there's a whole lot of questions that need to be answered. So Donovan, what say you? And then I'm gonna get into you guys' comments.
Wow. I mean, you could look at this several different ways. You did point out the fact that Prime did use his own resources to help build facilities at Jackson State. Brett Favre used welfare money to build facilities at Southern Miss. It's kind of funny. Nobody really, and that's something everybody keeps not talking about as we see the differences in how things are done. But why is it in the Black community that Prime built the blueprint of what needs to be done? Okay. And here's our problem. And this is the problem that we have as Black people. We send a leader or a head coach and we put them in there and they set up the blueprint of how to make a successful program. The worst thing you can do is stay there forever. I agree with Prime. There's no graveyard for old coaches and old people. And I'll give you a good example. How many of you guys remember the great head coach, Eddie Robinson? How many years was he coaching at Grambling? The first few years he was there, Grambling was great. It was a great program. But after 30 years of being at the helm of Grambling, it became a joke. How many of you guys remember this great politician named Maxine Waters that said she was going to go to Congress and she's going to fight for our reparations in 1993 when she got elected? 30 years later, she's still there doing absolutely nothing. So I agree with Prime in the aspect that you can't stay there forever. You built the blueprint. Now it's time for younger, stronger, smarter people to take that blueprint, that baton, and move it forward. A good example, when all the civil rights leaders got killed in the 1960s and early 1970s, where were their lieutenants to take what they had started to move it forward? All of this is related, and it's relatable. The man is worth $40 million, probably a little bit more, maybe probably a little bit less. He has a fiance, Tracy Edmonds, who's worth, I believe, almost as equivalent to what he's doing. This man has to go on and live his life and make as much money as he can for his legacies that's going to come after him. We are the only group of people that expect our people to stay in a position for 30, 40 years when the program starts sucking and he can't evaluate because football changes. The game always changes over the years. Eddie Robinson went out a bad coach. His legacy was destroyed. $25 million on the table. What would you guys do?
Yeah, so absolutely. So obviously, I see a lot of discussion going on in the comment section. So we definitely want to get into it. So the other thing too is people are calling him. And Freddie, so you like Houston? It was warm. It's this weather's weird. It's bipolar. It's gonna get hot, cold. It's all over the place. But yeah, so some people are calling Deion a sellout. They're saying that he is a sellout for leaving, the Black school to go to the white school where they'll be all right financially. And so, yes, the Biden administration, originally it sounds like they were supposed to give HBCUs about $55 billion. Well, it's waffling somewhere around $2 to $6 billion, depending on what report you believe. And some of that money also has to go to the indigenous people's school as well. So there's a lot of money that is not going to go to the HBCUs, but it should also be said too that the private white institutions, not only do they often have a large endowment fund, they also get some sort of government funding as well. So it is said that Harvard, for example, has got about $40 billion in an endowment, but they got about, it was some millions, like, don't give me the line, but they got millions of dollars from the government as well. So it's like, y'all got all that money and you still getting more money. So, there you have it. So I guess the argument too is these private white institutions, they already have a lot, and yet they're getting more. And some people see Deion as the more, like, damn, the black schools can't have nothing. But originally, when Deion went to the HBCU, there's a lot of coaches, white coaches and stuff, they were mad about it, right? Somebody said something about Nick Saban. A lot of other people were mad about him going there, for whatever reason. And so not a whole lot of noise now about him leaving to go to Colorado University. So let's see who else came on in here. And yes, please, if y'all could hit the like button and subscribe and all that, I would love and appreciate you.
And you know what? I got a question real quick. And then, okay, so what if he leaves? What was the legacy left there? What, does that stop because Deion Sanders left to go to another program? So anything that he instilled to those young coaches, the young administration, the young players, that stuff should continue. It should continue.
I don't think that's the point as much as he sold it as, it was this great thing. It got other players, to deviate from other schools that they would probably ordinarily have gone to come to HBCUs. And so people are like, wait a minute, you got people to go there and you got everybody's hopes up. I mean, ESPN was at the games and, things like that. And so it's like, okay, the attention that was going to this HBCU is like, is it going to go away? Like, what happens with that? So I think that's kind of where, let me get to the other comments, where some of this some of this contention comes in at. So let me get to the, break these down a little bit and then you'll go ahead and say what you got to say. So, Emmett, how you doing? He says, good evening from Gaithersburg, Maryland. What's going on with you? A long, happy life. Say he used it for a come up. Then white people didn't want him and still don't. They're just neutralizing the threat. Interesting. And Walt, how you doing? He said, give us the resources. Did he get the resources? That is a good question. And I don't know. It doesn't sound like they did necessarily. Don't give me a line. I don't know. Darshani says, with Deion Sanders' resume, he can never get terminated. He could be elevated. And maybe he was speaking more esoterically as far as, the white powers that be. I don't know. Y'all tell me. And Jason says he definitely left for the money. I respect him if he just tell the truth. See, that's kind of where I am, too. And Midrash says maybe if Jackson State University didn't give him the resources they need, at least that's what he said in the second clip. Okay, so he says he didn't get what he needed. Got you. Brother Samuel, and I know you are in Mississippi. He says, I went to Southern Mississippi for undergraduate and JSU for graduate school. So then you would know specifically what the issues are there, I would imagine. And let's see here. Deshaun says Deion Sanders and Jackson State was raising professional young men. Emmett says Prime was there for 3 years only. Yes, and he's going to have to pay back the fourth year, which is, I think, about $300,000 or something like that, because it was a 4-year contract. And Gilberto, you say one-on-one watching 45 likes. So you said get the like. Let's hit the thumbs up button. So thank you for that reminder. And Sean, he says one question: how many HBCUs are black owned, and don't some states the governors control HBCU? So yes, that is absolutely true. But the argument that I've heard people raise is the culture, and now that's open to interpretation. But I've heard a lot of people argue about the culture of HBCU. So let's see here. And that good guy, how are you doing? You say facts. And Deshaun says, Deion says what he did for Jackson State program 3 years was phenomenal. And also raising young men to be professionals as they continue to grow and try to get into the NFL league, I think he meant to say. And Long Happy Life says he's no different than Jay-Z. Ooh, so you mean as far as he went to the NFL, he was supposed to implement change, and it really wasn't as far as race relations. Is that where you're going with that? And Michael says, I know that a lot of football players and students will miss him because they consider him as a father figure. I've heard that as well. Kara, you say Brett Favre asked to be dismissed from the Mississippi welfare lawsuit this week. He needs to be held accountable. And I actually covered that story on the African Diaspora News channel. It's not up yet, I don't think, but I did cover that one. Only Pamela's Way, how you doing? And Emmett, he says, who is saying sellout? That's a reach. Oh, it's all over the place, especially Twitter and everywhere else. It's not hard to see people find that argument. All right, so I'm going to skip down just a little bit to people that I have not seen yet. Then I'm going to catch back up and give Donovan a chance to speak. Jay Bubby says, Jim Crow Joe sending that money to Ukraine. Yeah, that is very true. Donovan says he set up the program now. Let younger and smarter folks continue to build. Yeah, Deion Sanders is 55 years old. Let's see here. I mean, it's still kind of, I guess, relatively young for a coach, I would imagine. Robin, how you doing? He says, I don't fault him for moving on. And the Oracle of Delphi, how you doing? He says, it's all about money. You can't compare being in a job for 3 years to overstaying at 30. Paul Bear Bryant was at Alabama for an entire career. Okay, and let's see. Sunlight, how are you doing? And Midrash says, Donovan make a good point. However, others stay loyal to their people, particularly when they're okay. Personally, some things are about more than just your personal selfish legacy. Oof. And I'm skipping through a little bit, and I'll catch back up. But I want to make sure I get those that I haven't seen yet. And Brother Samuel says, I haven't heard any people calling him a sellout. What I see is many emotionally invested in him and are hurt. But like the title of our self-improvement study guide number 18, we must rise above emotions into the thinking of God. Yes. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it quite a bit on Twitter, and I've seen it on Facebook as well. And Jeremy has awakened. How you doing? He says, I don't see Deion as a sellout, but I feel there was a greater purpose. He should have stayed to fulfill his God's purpose. And yeah, he talked about that a lot as well. And Bogani, how you doing? Says, our ancestors built pyramids with absolute geometrical perfection. I am pretty sure we can do more intelligent activities than football. You actually make a really good point. Brother Damon, how are you doing? Say positive vibes to all in the chat. And let's see here, trucking with Scotty Boy. How you doing? He says, I don't see him as a sellout. He did what was best for his family. All right. And Kimberly says, Deion has always talked as a competitor, not as someone who is invest themselves for the long haul. And welcome, by the way. Let's see here. Dennis, how are you doing? Long time no see. Jason, you say it will be hard to continue that level of success at HBCUs, Donovan, because there is no bigger influence than Deion Sanders. It's all about who can influence these children. That's the difference between Deion and the rest of the African-American coaches. He can reach our youth like no other. Now that I do agree with. And let's see here. Who else came on here? Manny, how you doing? Says, I'm not mad at Deion for leaving, but he should have posted videos being at the Colorado University facility and talking to the Colorado University team when there is no more game to play. So you, because they still have the championship, was a celebration bowl or something like that. They still have to go play. All right, let's see here. And Damien says, now the money leaves Jackson and heads to Snowflake Land. He could have waited to after their championship game. I've seen that argument as well. And High Tech, how you doing? It says Trump gave over $255 million to HBCUs annually. Only Pamela's Way says, I'm lost when it comes to football. So from what I am hearing, he left in the middle of a contract and has to pay a fine. What happened to make him want to leave? Sounds like he says, you know, either he elevates or gets terminated, but he only owns a year left on the contract. Tonight, how are you doing? Happy Sunday to you as well. Brother Reggie says, the man went there and did his job, but he built a successful program and helped JSU get more attention, even gave half a salary, which he didn't need to do. He needs to do what's best for his family. Yes, I've seen a lot of people make that argument. Emmy says his departure impacts not only the school, but the culture and the city. I'm sure small businesses will suffer. That is true as well. Walt, he says if people don't want him to leave, they should raise the money for him to stay. Do you think those white boosters will let a great coach leave? No, they will pay him or her. That's a good point too. Let's see. Unstoppable, how you doing? He says, what was so disturbing is he dogged the press after the game and changed clothes to the press after the game and changed clothes to deliver that manipulative message to the team. Yes, I read that as well. And let's see here. Brother Samuel says, I wouldn't be surprised if Deion yet helped JSU, even if it's in his new position with the coaches at JSU. He made connections with like TC Taylor, who really does the coaching and talks to the recruits. He recommended TC to the former JSU quarterback in 1998. Yeah, so it sounds like some people may be going with him as well, including his son, who was the quarterback there at JSU. And Bogani says we must also learn, even though we have individual families, we are a community, and though we can disagree, we must stay respecting and loving unconditionally. And Tawani says there are more unemployed, qualified NFL players. That program needs to recruit another NFL. This is just another opportunity to uplift that program. That's a good point. And Dion Hayes, how are you doing? He said Dion laid out the foundation. HBCU step up and hire Chad Johnson, Michael, Vic, Ray Lewis, Terrell Owens. Imagine that. You make a good point. So, and one who cares, how are you doing? And I'm going to catch back up to your comments, you guys. I got to the bottom. So, Donovan, what say you?
Well, Tawana and D. Dion Hayes said exactly what I was saying. You got a lot of great players out there. Matter of fact, I think Emmitt Smith just got hired in Maryland or someplace like that to do these things. You got these Hall of Fame players that could be coaches. So, all this, like you put all this weight on Deion Sanders' shoulders is ridiculous. And that's our problem as a people. We are so busy hero worshiping certain individuals. Oh, Jay-Z, he was a great, he came from little and nothing and, sold drugs and death to his people and overcame it, right? Cardi B, she was in the strip clubs and doing everything and drugging men allegedly and blah, 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 blah. And then she overcame it. Why is it that we can't find other people in our community that are in the peer of a Deion Sanders, like a Terrell Owens, like a Chad Johnson? We've got all sorts of examples of great sports heroes that could go and fill these HBCU positions. So maybe we need to look at ourselves. Are we not hiring great Black athletes like Deion Sanders because we don't think our, what do you say, Demetra? Our ice is as cold as the white man's? This man deserves to make whatever decisions he needs to make for his family. He doesn't owe Donovan, Demetra, or you guys a damn explanation on how he does it. And here's another question. You've got these athlete children. If they have to look at the coach, which is a good thing as a role model, that's good and great. But there's several great role models and legends in sports. So he's not the only one. So it ain't the end of the world. Let this man go on and do what he's got to do, like all the other great players do and coaches do to make as much money as they can, period.
Yes, indeed. So let's see here. And hello to everybody that came on here. And Sean, you say, our people need to hold themselves accountable for sending their kids to. Hello, Mr. Dunham. How are you doing? And Robin, you say exactly. And Jason, he says, recruiting other NFL players will only work if they can reach those children. There's not many that can do that. In fact, most of our former Black NFL players are tokens. Let's see, Artemis, how are you doing? You say, great point, Donovan. There are other great talents out there. One who cares, you agree with Donovan as well. And Bogani says, my dear Donovan, it's time for us to begin participating in more intellectual activities. Football is not allowed. And Tawana says, absolutely, Donovan. One man, don't stop no show. And Bogani, I want to get back to your point. I totally agree with you. My younger brother, his son is very smart, and he could play football and all of that. But ever since he was born, he calls him senator. He's like, because I don't want to go along with the trope that because my son is Black and he'll probably have some size on him, that he should play football. He says, I want to gear him toward doing other things. And so I agree with you on that, Bogani. And the Oracle of Delphi, you say, the challenge in our community is to define success in ways other than more money. All Donovan sees is chasing the bag as success. And
I'm going to have to address that. Number one, Mr. Oracle, and like I said, you're entitled to your opinion. If I was about chasing money, I'd be making millions of dollars right now. Demetra will tell you that. I don't chase money because I have more than enough that I need to live. So again, you're making a judgment that you know nothing about. I never said it's about the money. I said if Deion Sanders, if that is his thing to do, who are we to judge him? But as for me personally, if I wanted to make millions of dollars, Demetra will tell you I could make millions of dollars.
Y'all heard it there. And Midrash, she says, this shows we lack a sense of community. People like Prime was broke. It's his choice. Still proletariat versus bourgeoisie. So yes, proletariat being the working class, bourgeoisie is the ultra rich. So yeah, I see where you're going with that. And let's see here. And Samuel, how are you doing? He says, Demetra and Donovan, everything that Coach Sanders at Jackson State was beginning to open up the floodgates for recruitment. And another 2 to 3 years, he would have been able to compete with any private white institution. So yeah, that I've seen and heard that argument as well, is that maybe he should have stayed and, really broaden the program there, and that it would have put them on the same level as some of the private white institutions. But he's leaving. But to the other point, there's a lot of other people out there that could coach the team, other Black ex-NFLers, if you will, that could do the job. I just think, as someone said too, a lot of people just really disappointed in that, there was so much more pride at, the HBCU Jackson State University with Deion being there. And I did see that he was instilling professionalism in the young men there. I know when they came to Houston, right after takeoff from Migos was murdered, he basically said, y'all ain't getting involved. Y'all not leaving this hotel room. You're just going to the game and back type of thing. Y'all not going to be out in them streets. And so he did, impose a lot of standards on the men, the young men, I should say, other than just being football players. So, all right, let's see here. On Oracle, he says, but you advocate on making decisions about money. Okay, and let's see. And Michael says, Donovan and Demetra, it's now important to make public HBCUs and job training tuition debt-free. These institutions should be protected and owned by Black people. That I agree with you. And Kimberly says, so true, Donovan. The elevation of the Afro-American community should not be on the shoulders of Afro-American celebrities or athletes. Success equals community activism and community action. And Gaspar, how are you doing? It says, cotton balls, footballs, and basketballs are all the same, as my grandfather would say. And Deshaun, he says, Ray Lewis should be the head coach in Jackson State. Okay. Jay Bubba says, I go get the bag. I'm not staying in the hood ever again. Okay. And let's see, Anais says he's leaving on a midnight train to Oklahoma. Sounds like, I think it's Colorado, but yeah, he's already been on the private jet and all of that. It was the picture that I have on the thumbnail. He was actually getting off the private jet for Colorado. So yeah, Darshawn says Terrell Owens needs to be the head coach of Jackson State. Oracle Delphi says, well, we have no commitment to community these days beyond opportunities and stepping stones to more money, but it's the American way, right? And Perry says, I think Coach Prime Time leaving because of the contaminated water in Jackson. Just joking. Yeah, but let's touch on the community aspect of it just a moment, because there are a lot of people who are talking about community and sticking together. Some people, I would imagine, are saying, thinking that Deion is not sticking with the community. I've heard the word culture thrown around a lot. And so I don't know. Let me finish. I think that it says a lot for the community aspect of it. Well, we know as Black people that sometimes we do, not sometimes, oftentimes, we do fall short as far as sticking together as a community, building and all of those things. But I mean, I can't remember who said it, but I agree. I think he would be better off to say, yeah, of course I'm leaving for more money. I'm getting $1.2 million here at Jackson State University over 4 years. And they're over here, they're going to pay me $25 million over a 5-year span. And so, I mean, to me, I think that's kind of a given as to why he's leaving. I would just, for me, if it's true, I would appreciate him being honest, opposed to saying it's about elevation or termination. I think it's about money. I mean, I can't think of too many people who would leave $25 million on the table. So,
right. And then I have a question is, we keep talking about culture. What is our culture? Do we have, there's all kinds of cultures within the Black culture. We have thought culture, we have thug culture, we have this culture, we have that culture, right? These subcultures in there. So whatever culture you aspire to be or you were raised up in doesn't mean it's the same as mine or yours or Demetra's or whatever. We have a lot of issues that we got to understand. Just because we have Black skin doesn't mean we have the same interest. For some reason, Prime, if you guys know his background, he was raised by a single mother in Florida, went to Florida State, was one of the greatest players ever. Okay. And that's a testament to, his background or whatever. Obviously, he was raised in some sort of poverty type level. He didn't have the greatest things, but he made it work and made it to the pros and whatever. So we don't know, maybe in the deepest parts of his mind, he doesn't want to go back to being poor. But again, if $25 million was put in front of your face right here on this table, what would you do? $25 million. And just think about this. He used some of his money that we don't know how much of his money to help Jackson State build facilities. What we should be asking as taxpayers and as parents, all of this money that goes to these HBCUs from the federal government and from endowments and stuff like that, we see that the administrators are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why isn't this money being used for the advantage of the students? And we got to get a head coach to come in here, use some of his funds to build facilities for our athlete students that should already be there. How come we're not asking those questions?
Absolutely. And Brother Reggie said, that's right, Donovan. They would take that bread. All y'all. Yeah, I mean, y'all always know what I say. Let's not lie to kick it. $25 million is a lot of money, you know. And some people are also arguing that he can also help the culture, you know, maybe bring people over where he's at, or, you know, help elevate other, you know, players and, you know, coaches or whatever. I don't know. So, you know, I've never heard Deion Sanders to be a bad guy. You know what I mean? I never heard him to be, now I know he's flashy, and which is kind of why he got the name Prime Time and all of that. But I never heard that he was a grimy dude. You know what I mean? So it sounds like his heart is in the right place. But let's, you know, like I said, let's not lie to kick it. $25 million is a lot of money to say, I'm good. I'll be all right. You know, so, and Jonathan, how you doing? It says, I don't have a problem with him leaving, but when he bring God in the conversation to use it as a recruiting tool, that's a problem. Yeah, because it sounds like he used God when he was going to JSU, and now he's using God and he's going to Colorado University. So it's like, I feel you on that one. And Robin says, 25 million, I'll take it. And he says, Colorado has legal weed. I'm just saying. And Dion, he says, that's a great topic and question. Who today isn't a culture vulture? It's true. There's a lot of people that are. And Ruben, how are you doing? He says, they should already have that. And Fred, what's going on? He says, I'm always trying to do better and improve my situation, circumstances. I am all about elevating. Yes, and as we should be in everything we do in life. And Ron, how are you? Says, hey, reached the ultimate. He reached the ultimate level in SWAC. He brought pride and attention to HBCUs. Deion is the ultimate competitor, and to prove doubters wrong who didn't give him a chance before JSU, he will do more for Blacks, proving we can elevate on the next level. I can dig it. And Emmett says Prime has had money since the 90s. He and his children are good unless he has severely mishandled his money. Doesn't sound like he has. Sounds like he has. He's about worth about $40 million. So, you know, it's a pretty good chunk of money, you know, still left over from all his playing days. And Link, how are you doing? He says, you don't want the answer. Give it to us. Give us the answer. GA Fit Health, how are you doing? Says, I heard he gave some of his checks back to the school with declining health after amputation. I too would get as much as I can while I can't. Yes, that is true. He was having some health issues. Did get some of his toes or something like that amputated. Yes, and so the Oracle at Delphi says, see, Donovan goes back to the $25 million offer. That's his perspective on success. What about being available to inspire the least among us?
Okay, I have an answer to that. How many of us that are least among us are wearing $200, $300 Air Jordan shoes every day? Is that the answer that we're going to do? What is, you know, I mean, Michael Jordan has inspired a lot of people to wear his shoes and all these athletes to wear their shoes. How's that helping the culture? Money makes the, you know, the bottom line is, you know, Oracle, and I love the way that you're bringing this up. You know, we love great conversation. And these are why we're having these things. No matter how you look at it, at the end of the day, money makes the world go around in this planet, on this earth. If you're into that alternate earth, Marvel Universe stuff, on this earth, money makes the world go around. You need money to buy food. You need money to pay your rent. You need money to buy a car. You need money for everything. And if you don't have it, guess what? You're on the side of the road in a pine box. So money is evident to live on this earth, period.
And Ruben, wow, just for taking it back by your comment. So you say Colorado only won one game this past season. Coach Prime has to start all over again. Yes. So now that, you know, obviously it makes sense why they are paying him so much money. Like, yo, we like what you've been doing over there, you know, in the South for the last 3 years. Come on over here. We'll sweeten the pot, right? What, you know, over 20, you know, about over 23, almost $24 million more than he was getting at Jackson State University for 4 years. So it's like,
and you got to look at it like this. In Colorado, if you guys have never been to that school, I've been to Colorado. They have the facilities. They have, you know, everything he needs. All he's got to do is show up and rebuild the program. But as far as the facilities and the recruiting team and all of that stuff, that unfortunately, when it comes to black and white, One's on the top and one's on the bottom. I don't have to tell you who's always on the bottom. So when it comes to HBCUs, when it comes to need of facilities and things, we're always on the bottom. How many of us as parents have heard all these HBCUs have condemned dorms and stuff? Kids are living in mold-infested dorms and stuff, but we pay thousands of dollars for our children to go to these schools that lack the resources and facilities to adequately support the infrastructure of these schools.
Absolutely. Hello, Larry says we allow them to benefit off our talents and they give us nothing in return. Yeah, that's usually how it works. And True Monger, how are you doing? He says he uses God all the time from when he was coaching youth football through high school coaching. I would agree with that. And Video King, he says Deion Sanders' draft grade was low at Jackson. That's why one of the reasons he left. Okay. So you're saying that if he would have stayed at Jackson State, he probably wouldn't have got a better chance. He wouldn't have had as good of a chance to be drafted to the NFL as he would at Colorado. And did they confirm that his son was going with him? And Ruby says, and Coach Prime's kids are going to transfer to Colorado too. Okay, so there's the answer. Deshaun said Chris Paul had donated almost $85,000 to the HBCU program. Hello, Tisha. How are you? And Emmy says, not I. And Larry says, God didn't have anything to do with Deion leaving Jackson State University. Money did. And Jonathan, you say, don't forget, he got Tracy Babyface Edmond money as well. Sugar daddy status. Laugh out loud. You crazy. And Perry says Jackson State probably couldn't match to what Colorado was offering. Yeah, I doubt it. Brother Samuel, and say business is welfare and leading Blacks 4 and 5 star athletes back to HBCUs is indeed a threat to the powers that be. We will sit back and cheer as he fights alone. He did raise the standard, and we must continue to, number one, go after the 4 and 5 star recruits, believe. Number two, don't take the beat down games just to foster white attendance. 3, continue to raise the standards for the players, coaches, administration, television coverage. And 4, make business decisions in the best interest of the, and your comment cut off. But yes, you sound like you have a great strategy there.
And think about it, the SWAC conference, I'm sorry to interrupt. The SWAC conference and stuff has some of your major NFL athletes that come out of there. That's like major competition, Alabama, Nick Saban, all these guys that are there, right? Why isn't they're getting those contracts from the TV ads? Why aren't we talking about that? Where is that billions of dollars of advertisement money going? If it ain't going to the students, I mean, the students just got a little stipend so that they can live off of. I mean, come on, let's talk about the billions of dollars that little conference makes.
And Danny says slave labor produces those $300 shoes. So you're talking about the ones that Donovan's talking about, the Jordans and things like that. And Link, she says, I have a student athlete at HBCU. Don't let me tell you the horror stories. Prime isn't the problem. Hello, alum. Yes, I've actually covered stories on the HBCUs and the issues that they have there. And it's expensive to go to those schools as well. And James, how you doing? He says, before we had touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame, and now God's got a plan for me at Colorado. And let's see here. Michael says, after Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State University, do you think that the administrators and others will preserve his legacy without trapping the mission of the university? I don't know. And Lamar, how are you doing? He says this was going to happen whenever he decided to leave. People hate. Okay. Marathon TV 87, how are you doing? He says, I think that's the only problem people have with him leaving. He used all of his God talk. Then he talked about bringing HBCU colleges to the same tier as Power 5 schools. But the first school called him. He got up, right? He got goals, is what you're saying. Orca Delphi says getting people to misallocate funds to wear designer shoes is not my idea of inspiring. That's pimping. That's a difference. And let's see here. I'm going to skip down to some people that are new on here. And Magnum Life, he says, why all y'all Deion hates didn't help with that practice field before he got there. Ooh. Hey, I'm just moderating here. And let's see here. And Tisha, he says, I wish they leave Deion alone. It's not like he's leaving JSU in a worse condition. He's leaving them in a better condition than he found it. Good point. Fred says the facilities at Colorado, it's crazy. I bet you Deion will turn that program around quickly. And Perry says, and Colorado has clean water too, Donovan. Yeah, they do. LOL, how you doing? He says, you'll lose. Prime is a winner wherever he goes on God. And Beverly says the mostly white colleges always take black coaches away from HBCUs. And October Opal, how are you doing? It says always follow the money. Yes, I agree with you. And Stampede Mentor Group, how are you doing? It says the problem isn't so much about the change at elevations, it's more about playing to our people's emotion. When you use religion, then does something different, you will evoke emotions. I 100% agree with you on that.
Kind of reminds you of what Ralph Warnock, doesn't it? I sat at Martin Luther King's church, and everybody, woo, King.
Yeah, that election is going on Tuesday, so that's a hot mess. And another Root Enterprise, how are you doing? It says his son, the quarterback, is confirmed, not the other son. Okay, so one is going, but the other one is not confirmed yet. Thank you for that. And the biggest D, how are you doing? It says he didn't even mention his other daughter. Really? Okay. Going Viral Productions, how are you doing? It says, yes, he said he is bringing about 10 more players with him plus his son. So, okay. So he is not just elevating himself. He's also bringing other people with him. All right. So who else is on here that I haven't seen? Zazzy Saz, how you doing?
And real quick, also you got to remember when you're a coach, you also bring your staff with you. Usually in your contract, they let you kind of bring certain staff members. So let's think about that. He goes to Colorado. Now there's more positions open, your defensive coordinator, your offensive coordinator. You could bring your own people with you to get them into those positions so that those guys, when Deion retires or whatever, they become head coaches within the top 5 tier, whatever rate thing. And then they start recruiting more of our people and people into those tiers. So you got to look at the big picture down the road.
Zazzy Zaz, how you doing? He says he tried. People don't know what went on behind the scenes. He said he was going to have to resign or get fired. So he left. And yes, that's what he did say. And Ambitious Hustler, how are you doing? Oh, you say you want to be my boyfriend? Okay. Well, thank you for the donation. I think about it.
Don't do it. No.
Thank you so much. I love and appreciate you for that. And yes, y'all, if y'all could hit the like button, I would love and appreciate you. And I may dance at your wedding if you ask me to. And Kiana, how are you doing? It says, how much money does Deion Sanders need? Well, there's this saying that there's never enough of more. So I don't know. And another Root Enterprise says leaving from an all-black city to an all-white city is very interesting. Yeah, and it's cold. I guess it's cold in Jackson, but to say it's even colder in Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado is very, very cold. Yeah.
And Dave Smooth, how are you doing? I hope I said that right. He says he's just got the number 1 wideout to sign today. He gave a light to HBCU. Everything he said he would do there, he's done. He just did it in 3 years. Interesting. And Bama Nola, how you doing? It says hopefully Prime takes Bill O'Brien and Pete Gogan. So he's saying take them with him. Okay. And let's see who else came on here. Landon Price, how are you? Said this move is all for his children's future, black coaches and students. Okay. All right. Who else came on here? The Rock, how are you doing? It says, did that clown Deion Sanders quit Jackson State? Some people will probably take exception to you calling him a clown, but this will be his last year at Jackson State. Then he is going to Colorado University. So yes. And our brother Reggie say word. And Marlena, how are you doing? It says, will Coach Primetime leaving affect students going to HBCUs in the future? And that is the other question people are pondering. How does that work? Because he did get, students to start going and thinking about going to HBCU. So will they now say, okay, well, let me go to a private white institution, or one that is doing much better? So that's a good question.
And I have a question then, for those guys that have an issue with this. Joe Biden and the Congressional Black Caucus, they had promised us they're going to get rid of qualified immunity if we elect we turn Georgia blue. We did that. And then the recently elected mayor, Karen Bass, who was the lead negotiator on the qualified immunity for police across the nation, when it didn't go through, what did she say? I tried. Nobody got up in arms that they didn't do something that's one of the most crucial bills that would affect Black people and stop us from getting killed. But here we are upset that Deion Sanders isn't going to be coach of a Black HBCU. I mean, I don't know what else I can really do to say how asinine we are in regards to our selective outrage.
Well, I think it's the other thing with the football versus Congress. One is probably a little bit more visible. although Congress and what goes on there should be more important. But I think it's fair to say that football is a little bit more visible, if you will, and a little bit more enjoyable, I guess. And Jonathan, thank you so much for the donation. I love it. Appreciate you for that. And let's see here. Pepsi, you saying, how you doing? It says JSU just need to sign a big time ex-NFL star to take over where Coach Prime left off. And that's what a lot of people have been saying. Absolutely right. And preach to me. How are you doing? You say some HBCUs have administration issues because they use funds in all the wrong places. Good football and basketball brings money to the school for better academic facilities. And let's see here. And let me just go down a little bit more and I could catch up, start reading you guys' comments again. Steven, how are you doing? It says, we would move out of the hood if we could. Yeah, and some people argue that you should. I mean, we've seen a lot of, I guess, rappers and stuff lose their lives behind hanging out in the neighborhood. And some people said they should have left. So a very, very interesting point that you brought there. Michael says the problem is broken business model for higher education, including HBCUs, and deport all illegals 2024. How are you doing? He says Deion Sanders, the biggest sellout since Jackie Robinson. Ooh. And Lamar, he says, does anyone know where Shiloh was yesterday? Who's Shiloh? Who was that, if you don't mind me asking? And Pepsi says, Coach Prime is 55 years old and has 12 years to fulfill his personal and professional goals before retirement. He is on a different timeline than JSU. Good point. And Vibrant Beauty, how are you doing? It says, feel sorry for the brothers that he convinced to come over to Jackson State because he was there. There was one top recruit in particular who made his decision to go to Jackson based on Deion Sanders being there. Yes, that is very true.
Yeah, wait a minute, though. That doesn't mean that top recruit can't transfer. So you guys act like, oh, once you get to a college, you're stuck there. No, you're not. You can transfer. And if his skills are that good, somebody's going to draft him to the NFL, no matter where that person plays. How many of you guys remember Steve McNair? He went to Alcorn State. That's a small HBCU. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks that played in the NFL. I mean, come on. It isn't the end of the world because a recruit goes to a certain college, whatever, that they can transfer. They've got things in the works. And think about it. If you're Nick Saban in one of these big colleges, USC in the Pacific, and you know that this top recruit is down there at JC and wants to transfer, you don't think that they're going to give him all types of incentive to come to their school? Of course they're going to do that.
All right, so let's see who else came on here. And I promise you guys, I'm going to start reading you guys' comments. And Roderick, how are you doing? Let's see. Tisha says, my cousin played for Alcorn, and he said he had 3 different head coaches in his 4 years there, so it's normal. So you're saying it's not unusual that Deion would have left after 3 years. Get money, Blaze. How are you doing? I hope I said that right. He says it's not about the money. He want to compete against the best. Another point that, should be examined. And Jonathan, you say great content. Where y'all been at? I just stumbled on this site. Love what I'm hearing. We've been here for quite a while, but thank you so much for being here. On our live shows, which is on Sunday and Wednesday, we do interact with the audience. It is really you all show. We consider y'all the third co-host because we like conversing with you, even though we can't hear you, but we can read your comments. But we do not want to be one of those shows where we are live and never address you all, because I don't like watching shows like that either. So thank you so much for being here. Midrash, she says, a Warlock is a joke. Talk about Warnock. And Universal Love 878, how are you doing? It says JSU is benefiting from what Deion helped them to build during his time there. How will they prepare to fly the rocket since Deion placed them inside of it? It's time to fly. The foundation is laid. That's a good point. Like, it's laid. Now, what are y'all going to do with it? Are you going to build on top of it, or are you going to let it go back to where it was? So, yes, indeed. And Fred, he says, don't catch another man's pocket. He need as much bread as he need as much bread as he can collect. There's never enough of more. And Detroit 48202, how you doing? It says, because he led us to believe that he would be open to moving when an NFL pro position came up. Okay. And Sean says that's good. He's taking players with him. And October Opal, he says maybe Prime will get some skiing in. Yeah, it's pretty cold out there. Duke, how you doing? He says he played the HBCU World. So you're saying he played them like he got over on them? Is that what you're saying? And then Ruben says, Coach Sanders took the University of Miami of Florida turnover chain and turned it into the head coach chain. Coach Prime killed it. Coach Sanders even made 60 minutes on that. Okay. And Jeremy has awakened, says, that's right, Deion. And he had comment cut off, so I'll read the rest of it. Larry says, the best is those black athletes, not the schools. You got that right. And G, the winner, how you doing? He says, again, good for them folks, huh? Ask, do they need more of us or more do we need more of us? So do they need more of us or do we need more of us? That's a good point. I believe we need more of us. Mallow Factor, how you doing? It says, I can't believe this is something to spend all afternoon talking about. Well, what else y'all want to talk about? Throw it in the chat because I got a lot of stuff I could talk about. Y'all want to talk about something else? You are welcome to change the conversation. I'm open to that. And let's see here. Who else came on here? Trey, the big bro, how you doing? He says, I have mixed feelings about Deion to Colorado. And the Oracle of Delphi says, don't get me started on the Democrat gatekeepers and grifters. So we can go there if y'all want. So we're going to open it up. We're about an hour in. So whatever y'all want to talk about, open it up.
I have a statement. How many of you guys that have children and, your kids are in high school, they're like 8th grade or whatever, they think about what they want to do in life. How many of you guys tell them, no, son, daughter, stay at the job that refuses to pay you what you're worth. Just stay there because of the culture. And we need you sitting there at Walmart pushing those carts. No, I have yet to run into a parent that doesn't tell their children, make as much money as you can. I had an uncle that told me, he said, Donovan, and he's dying and stuff. He said, make as much money as you can in this world. And that's just how it is. I mean, I'm just wondering. So in the chat, if you guys could answer that, how many of you guys have told your children to not make as much money as possible?
I mean, I wouldn't personally have told my daughter that. I mean, I am one of those people that do stand on principle as well, because we've always heard that all money is not good money. I'm not saying this is not true for Colorado. I don't really know the dynamics of it all, but I'm one of those people that do like to stand on principle over money. However, I ain't gonna starve. So there's certain things I'm not gonna do for money, but I don't know. I just think $25 million is a lot of money to say I'm good. I'm gonna stay here, and do what I'm doing. I just think that's unrealistic, because it's always easier for people who are not in that position to advocate for somebody who is in that position to stay at where you're at. Because I'm one of those people, I say, don't never advocate for somebody else what you wouldn't advocate for yourself. And if you in good faith, without lying to kick it, would say, I would pass on the $25 million and stay where I'm at. If you could say that and not be lying, then I don't know, you a real one, but I can't think of too many people who would pass on $25 million.
Yeah, I always tell Demetra, I do have a price to go back to work. And until they meet that price, I'll stay retired. Like you said, not all money to me is good money, but you got to make it worth my while for me to come out of retirement to go and do this job you want me to do.
Absolutely. So again, if y'all want to change the conversation, you are more than welcome to do that. There's a lot of things that transpired throughout the week, and so we don't catch it all, but if you want to throw something in there, we'd love to discuss it. Only Pamela's Way says, I did, and the new black media did, but some black people are determined to vote for nothing, which is crazy. So yeah, that's true. So everybody did not ignore the political season, but however, and Sunlight, he says, when Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Jonathan says, absolutely agree on when it comes to political issues. It's at the local level where it really counts. That is true indeed. And Deborah, how are you doing? It says, as we know, sports are cutthroat. It says, when a team is ready to cut you, they do that. When they're ready to trade you, they do that. When they're ready to fire you, they do that, etc. Yes, indeed. And let's see here. Quentin, so you say his son. Okay, so you're saying, that's who I was saying, Shiloh. Because he's got a son, Sadur, I think his name is, and he has another son named Shiloh. Okay, thank you for that. And Trey the Big Bro, he says, on one hand, he needs an opportunity to be a HC so a head coach, I'm imagining what that is, Power 5 institution, because there are very few blacks in those positions getting paid millions. Okay. All right. So you guys are all telling me that's his son. Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And ask Bama Girl 26, how are you doing? He says transfer portal. And Mad Marks 1983, how you doing? He says, I figured more retired NFL / NBA legends would have already followed Sanders' lead already. Good point. And our Lomax, how you doing? Says at Donovan, Walker can't complete a sentence let alone does not classify himself as black.
Well, that's irrelevant to the political situation. If you saw that debate, he sure handled, for somebody who can't complete a sentence, he sure handled Warnock handedly.
And let Gabe equal true. How you doing? He says JSU should get OJ Simpson coach. OJ has a good sound. Okay, now you know damn well. But I mean, he could be, but y'all know OJ is problematic for a few reasons. And G, the winner, he says, you see the look on Deion Jr. and his daughter's face when all them folks was yelling and screaming and hate and boo, ha ha. Welcome to the hills for real. Good luck. Be safe. Oh, I didn't see that, but I take your word for it. And Jay Bubba says Shiloh is Deion's other son that played. He didn't play last night because he came back late from break and Deion benched him. Oh, all right. So he even applies that discipline to his own son. And Ty Bree, how you doing? I hope I said that right. He says Shiloh will not be going. He already transferred once. He would have to graduate from JSU, then leave. Okay. Thank you for that information. And Eugene Miller, how you doing? He says at the Recovering Democrat, everyone has the right to discuss what they feel like. If qualified immunity was important to most people, it would have passed. Sadly, it's not as important as Deion leaving.
Well, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's no opposition there. But here's the deal: if Joe Biden really wanted to do something about qualified immunity, he doesn't need Congress to do it. He could use the executive pen.
Yes, indeed. Honeydew, how are you doing? Let's see who else came on here. And Black first always. He says it's not that simple. You lose a year of eligibility when a player transfers school. Okay, see, now we getting some information. Listen, I don't profess to know anything about sports. I just read stuff and I kind of regurgitate it, right? And I talk to some people who know sports and then I would just remember stuff. So that's as far as my knowledge goes. And PGH, Big Dog, how you doing? Salute to you as well.
Right, and let me address that. Yes, they lose eligibility, but if you're a top recruit, there's nothing stopping an NFL team from drafting you anyway. There's nothing stopping that.
More information. And Homer, how you doing? He says people just hating. He says, where were JSU before Deion came here? I never heard of JSU worldwide before he got there. People are ungrateful. How long JSU had that broken down field before prime? You make a very good point. And Jeremy Has Awakened says, knowing that Deion is taking 10 players to make sure he comes in winning, then the team will be handicapped back into bad shape, just as it was when he got there. The new field will grow over again. Ooh, that's another point. So is he taking 10 players at the detriment of JSU? I don't know. And Brother Samuel said, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, brothers and sisters, let's stop nibbling at each other. To the joy of the enemy is our talking about our brother as we sit and spectate and do not do anything ourselves, really helping? Or is it better to see the rational side of the coin and see the bigger picture? Yes, I totally agree. We should look logical at it, as you all said too, instead of emotionally. All right, let me go on down to the bottom. And Artemis, it says Coach Prime, he brought out the celebrities to Jackson State. There's a lot of people that came out there to watch. I was even going to try to buy some tickets here in Houston when they came here. And I was like, well, I'll be damned if I pay that kind of money for a ticket to a college game. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, Demetra called me and said, did you see the prices of the ticket?
They're crazy. All right, so let's see here. I just want to catch up a little bit, y'all. So I see y'all comments, but I want to catch up to people who I haven't seen just yet. And Sexy Yellow, Double O, how you doing? He says he didn't play the HBCU World. He played JSU. They were so thirsty for attention, and they were willing to pay any price. So you're talking about Colorado was thirsty? And then Donovan Cox, how are you doing? He says Deion wants to compete at the highest level in his profession. He owes JSU nothing. Well, he actually owes them a year of pay, but that's a different story. But I get what you're saying. The Oracle at Delphi says, I wish Deion no harm, but let's see this thing from all angles. True indeed. And Wallow 42, how you doing? He says maybe a JSU alumni and others would have donated like he begged for 2.5 to 3 years. Things would be different. But now You big mad, butt hurt. The money train has departed, but he left JSU much better. Good point. He says, then he found out. And Otis A. Smith 3, how are you? He says, stop tripping. How many people change job if another one is better than you're working? Now, I agree. Like I said, I mean, $25 million is not, we ain't talking about $2,500. We're talking about $25 million. So, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I would probably leave too.
$5 million a year.
Yeah, you know. And let's see here. Michael says, Donovan, if Walker wins and he says to you, my job is done as a senator, I don't need to give cash reparations to my people because America is about equal opportunity. What is your response?
Well,
in the comment section so I can kind of get down to the bottom, and then I'll catch up. And if I see any new topics, we'll discuss it as well. And let's see here. MHZ Boxing, how you doing? It says, imagine how many Alabama transfers and SEC coming to Colorado. Yes, indeed. And Robert says, me either. We all have moved on to other jobs for better opportunities and more money. And let's see. Seattle, he says, now that Coach Prime at Colorado, do you think he can convince the administration to at least play against HBCUs? I don't know. Donovan, do you think that is possible that he could at least convince them to play HBCUs, or is that something they have to qualify for?
Well, it's a regional thing, kind of like the old wrestling territories and stuff. And, and they do that because Massa wants to have jurisdiction over certain areas. Because think about it. If the HBCU teams came out and played, let's say, Air Force or Army and all these, and just, as usual, would probably slaughter them to death. That doesn't look good for, white America. So it's a territorial thing. So it'd be really, really hard to do. It'd be really hard to do. That's why they came up with the national championship. Because remember, they had all these different bowls, the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, you had all these different bowls, and nobody was like the national champion. And that's where they came up with the national championship thing to kind of consolidate who really is number one.
Thank you so much, Mad Marks 1983, for the donation. You say no right stance on this. Yeah, I mean, can you tell a grown man what to do, what decision to make? I mean, ultimately, that's Deion's decision to make. If the culture was paying him $25 million, then maybe he can rule on the side of the culture. But I mean, I'm not gonna hate Deion Sanders for leaving to do what was best for him. As he says, he had to elevate. So, who are we to tell him that he's wrong? I don't know. Larry says it's not about money. It's about his lies to his players. Okay. And Perry says, not paying you for what you're worth and drinking dirty water, you'll be gone too. Yeah. And they, of course, do have that. I guess they're working on it, but they do have that issue with the water being contaminated in Jackson. So that's huge. G, the winner, he says, digging is live. I peep y'all daily. Thank you so much for being here. We love and appreciate you. Vibrant Beauty, he says, Deion Sanders isn't a broke Walmart employee. He's filthy. He's rich NFL Hall of Famer with a rich career and extremely wealthy. Yeah, so exactly. If he was, then it's like, man, you tripping. Don't go on the Target. Stay here. It's going to get better, but it's two totally different dynamics. So I totally agree with you. In October, Opal, he says, what I've told my children is do what makes you happy, no matter what it pays, like teaching, but the money, if the money is hunting you down, capture that money. Yes, indeed. All right. And I for eye visuals. How you doing? It says every entry-level employee has employer dreams. Every mom and pop store has Walmart dreams. Every parent has wants what's best for the child. Prime at least deserves a chance that others want in their life. So you're saying, I agree with you. Bogani says the society associated infrastructure that we see today is crumbling. Where we are headed, money isn't needed or wanted. Okay, so he's talking a little bit more on the spiritual side. And Trey the Big Bro says $5 million a year versus $300,000 a year is not calculus, and I would suck at calculus to keep it real with you. And Zazzy says with advancement, it's supposed to be a pay upgrade. Okay, all right. And so let's see who else came on here. I'm just trying to catch up to the comments because I know I am behind. And Ron, you say that this argument is just like when they tell high school students, don't go straight to the pros. Get the money as soon as you can because you don't know what tomorrow brings. He fool around and find out and have a losing season. Ain't nobody going to give him a chance. Get why the getting is get it while the getting is good. Good point.
Right. In the NFL, they have this thing called the Rooney Rule. We just saw the owner of the Jim Irsay, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. He's totally circumvented the Rooney Rule and brought in that Jeff Holiday, who was on ESPN as an analyst. He had played for the Colts previously. Just brought him in as a head coach, even though they had black head coaches on the Colts coaching staff. So they're not even trying to elevate black coaches in the NFL. So we got to look at the big picture here and how opening these doors or kicking these doors down is just that important from moving from place to place. You know, we just can't stay in our little bubble in the HBCUs. We've got to really try to make it work and move in different aspects.
Absolutely. And Big Dog G, how you doing? And the contract at Colorado is 5 years, $25 million for 5 years. Opposed to that at Jackson State was $1.2 million for 4 years. So not really hard to see how and why he made that decision, even though he said it wasn't about a bag. It's like, come on, man, let's keep it real. And
you also got to remember his fiance lives on the West Coast. So that could be a part of it as well.
Hello, Ray's Lawn Landscaping. How are you doing? He says Cam has no coaching. So about Cam Newton has no coaching experience. Because somebody kind of threw his name in the chat, rather, I should say. So you're saying he wouldn't be a good choice. And Kimberly says collective outrage should be directed toward all being used to police. I think you mean AI being used to police. So San Francisco considers allowing law enforcement robots to use lethal force. In 2016, robot drone used to kill assailant in Texas. Yeah, well, it's coming. It's already there. It's coming. Right?
RoboCop is here for real?
Yes, indeed. And Sloan, how you doing? Says he was there for 3 years talking about white people. Okay. And let's see here. Let me just skip on down a little bit. And Khalil, how you doing? Says Coach Prime did what was best for business. I don't fault him for his decision. He gave Jackson State 2 championship seasons are in 3 years. Yeah, that's true, right? And a potential third, right? Because they still have to go. What is it, the celebration championship game or something like that? So the potential 3. Gilvetta says, thank you so much, y'all. Hit the like button. I love and appreciate y'all. If y'all do, subscribe and all of that. Speak your mind. Says America is about money all day long. And MN, how you doing? Says there's no crime in Colorado. For real? Like none? All right, let's see who else came on here. Kiki, how you doing? And Dogtoberfest, I hope I said that right, says $5 million per year plus performance incentive. He could potentially make $35 million. Is not rocket surgery, folks. Okay. And John G, how you doing? He says Prime said God sent him to JSU. They were the only ones who gave him a shot. That's not God. That's lack of choices. Now he said God sent him to Colorado is bullshit. Oh, and let's see here. I hope I said this right. It's Wyman 7. How you doing? He says, man, Coach Prime is thinking about the people around him too. His coaches want a pay increase and even more opportunities. Yeah, so if the people around him, because didn't some of his salary also go to help pay people at Jackson State University? So yeah, they'll probably get a bit more money too.
Some of his salary went to bring in like massage people and like, injury specialists, that they need to help the players and stuff like that. Maybe, he dipped into his pocket a lot. A lot of people aren't realizing that.
So you're saying, Sloan, you lived in Colorado for 3 years. I'm Black, and it was clean. The people were nice and had no problems. Okay.
And by the way, that's where the Air Force Academy is located in Peterson, Colorado, next to the Air Force Base down there.
And Eric the Red, how you doing? He says YJ's dumb to play HBCUs. Okay. And Shadow Pop, how you doing? He says Deion wants to compete with the big boys. I wish him well. All right. And let's see who else we have. Artemis, she says, if we can change subjects for a moment, why are we supporting Joe Biden? After all, he wants to give Ukraine $1 trillion to rebuild, and we're waiting on our reparations for 400 years for free labor.
Well, actually, Joe Biden has opened the checkbook. It's unlimited funding. Democratic Congress has also approved the unlimited checkbook. So they're getting all kinds of money, but yet we can't solve homelessness or give reparations to Black people. But we could fly 280,000 Afghans from Afghanistan that betrayed their own country, and we could house them, no problems.
Yes, indeed. And did y'all hear that California has decided Governor Gavin Newsom in 2020 commissioned a council to look at reparations for American descendants of slaves. And they came out with a report saying that per their calculations in California, American descendants of slaves should get about $223,000 in addition to some other things that they want to implement. It's a long list, and so they are currently going over that number. I will say this about Gavin Newsom. They did move rather fast. John Conyers, he came up with HB40. The HB40 was 2014 or so. And it's a study.
No. Didn't John Conyers come up with that in the late 80s, early 90s? It's been there for like 34 years.
It could have been. My number's right. It's whatever number he was there. It's been there, and it's been a study. And they talk about it here and there, but they talk about studying, but nothing, no momentum. But California, they did actually do a study, and so they are talking about giving Californians, Black Californians, ADOS. $223,000. And so,
and let me say this: that is a significant shortchange of money, because it is estimated that Black people are owed minimum $17 trillion. So if you take $17 trillion at 14% of the Black population, according to the census, out of that 14%, you take, I'd say about half of that is actually ADOS. You're talking about Black people should be getting at least $350 million each that are actually ADOS people. So they're trying significantly to short changes. But, I know times are tough and stuff, and there's going to be a bunch of people that would love that $280,000. Now, I live in California. What can $280,000 buy you in California, in New York, in Chicago? Absolutely nothing. So think about that.
So that's California's numbers, is not the national numbers. That was California's numbers. It's going to be the largest fund payout for something like that in the history of the United States. It's almost $600 billion is what they're looking to just give to Californians. And the $223,000 is just the monetary thing, but that doesn't include education, housing, and a whole host of other things that they are looking at. And so, yeah, it doesn't compare to what's really owed to American descendants of slaves, but it's something, you know what I mean? And I don't want to say it's something like, well, at least it's something, but that's just California that's saying, well, let's get the ball rolling. So I'm not too mad at it, because, Gavin Newsom could just say, well, I mean, what y'all want us to do about it? I better ask Joe Biden. So, anyway, and Swansley, I hope I said that, Swansley, I'm sorry. He says, those incredible facilities would have made me flip alone. That facility is a dream. Okay, so it sounds like it's pretty nice. And Sensei TV says Deion is a snake oil salesman. Ooh. So yeah, so see, because people were like, well, where are they saying that he's a sellout or, whatever. Now I know that I've seen it. So we were seeing some people come to the chat saying that they believe that to be the case. And EH Cash, how you doing? He says change was coming because he was there. He started something he's not finishing. Okay, because he had a year left. And I'm going to catch up to you guys' comments. I just want to get catch up a little bit. SP, you say crabs in a barrel, shaking my head. Okay. And Marcus Wimberly, how you doing? It says everything isn't what it seems to be. Deion and the squad of players might be portal eligible. Deion helped the JSU and facility out completely. Yeah, I totally agree with you that he did elevate them. He's speaking of what he was saying, elevating, right? And Jonathan, he says Saturday, not holiday. Yeah, so the last name is Jeff Saturday and Damon. I saw you said that as well. And Cash TV1, how you doing? He says Deion left Black women for a white woman. I think Tracy Edmonds is Black, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Tracy Edmonds is Black, yeah.
Yeah, Babyface is ex-Boo Thing. And first, P3 and 10, how you doing? He says, besides that, it may be more than just an issue of money. He may be on a career track. He may be reaching for pro coaching. But then they say somewhere he said that he would never want to coach the NFL.
Well, let's say this. He also said that he would do something. Things change. Don't take anything for concrete evidence. Situations change. Things change. What he says today might be totally different 3 or 4 years from now if an opportunity arises. We don't know what's going to happen.
Right, but he did say that. And honest comment, how you doing? He says he's advancing his career, not unlike every other coach tries to do. He's 55 and wants to go to the next level. Yes, indeed. I agree with you on that. And Charles, you say Colts have had 2 black head coaches. Okay. And let's see who else.
Yeah. But what I was talking about was the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule says you have to interview minority coaches before you make a decision on a coach, and they totally circumvent that.
Yeah, that is true. I do know about that. And let's see here. And Marcus said it's about getting these kids a head start that they wouldn't get anywhere else. I think you're trying to say. I can see that as well. I mean, you all have very valid arguments. And let's see here. The Oracle of Delphi says, but a lack of vision, our people shall surely perish. We really don't have community anymore. Folks chasing dollars and Karens. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a sense of community that we should, but the thing is, we should probably work on that so we can retain coaches like Deion if money is indeed an issue, right? So if we work more on the community aspect of it, we have our own money and stuff. We can say, you know what, Deion, you don't need to go. We got how much you asking? We got it. You know what I mean? Because I'm quite sure Jackson State couldn't reach what Colorado was offering him. So, and John G, Eric the Red, he says, y'all too emotional. Are we really? John G says, I wish the man the best, but let's keep it a buck. Prime is about prime. You can't argue with that. And Kev Bar, how you doing? He says, Deion did it to protect his kids. A student was killed on campus the day before the championship, and Deion's office has been broke in twice, and his son's vehicle had been broke into. Well, damn. I didn't know they had all that going on there. I mean, can you really blame the man? And let's see here. Quinny, how you doing? Says, I don't understand why people are trashing this man. He have not said anything negative about the school since he left. People stop. Yeah, I don't think people should trash him. I mean, like I said, I've never heard Deion to be a grimy dude or nothing like that. So, I mean, I just think it's about personal choices. I mean, people are saying that he should stay, but again, how many people would stay for 1.2 million or really like 300,000 left opposed to getting a new contract of $25 million? I mean, let's be honest here, And who else came on? And Raw.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be like Donald Trump saying, "Oh, I don't want my presidential salary"? Well, he didn't need it because he has whatever millions he has, so he didn't need the $400,000 a year. So he donated his salary to himself, by the way. So I mean, 1 point something million over 4 years versus 25 million over 5 years plus incentives. I mean, come on. And then you got the facilities, everything you need. So I mean, come on. It's a tough decision, but it's a decision you got to make.
Yeah, Kiki, he is still with Tracy. I guess they haven't gotten married. They're fiancés.
Yeah, they've been engaged for like 3 or 4 years now or something.
Yes, indeed. And let's see here. Khalil, he says, if we're keeping it real, JSU was not good before he got there. It shows that he can turn around a football team fast. And if it wasn't for the pandemic, he probably would have won 2020 as well. Got you. All right. And let's see. Damien says the low rent districts will see the robo dogs. Yep. You know, they ain't sending them dogs and those AI things to Beverly Hills. No, are you kidding me? In my Kamala Harris voice. And C note, what's going on with you? He says, I'm rooting for Prime to do great. I am too. We never want to root for anybody to do bad, right? And True Monger, he says that's low, the number. And Ray's Lawn and Landscape, he says he wasn't making no money at JSU, brought in millions, and he gave half of that back. He brought hope and how to make it happen. Money can't buy that. I totally agree with you. Big Dog G said he's bringing some players to Colorado too. Yep. Tied Up Saddles, how you doing? Says JSU alumni don't want to donate. On Giving Tuesday, $90,000 was collected. With 50,000 alumni, that's $1.80 per person. That's horrible. Now, that is horrible. Now, come on now. Yeah, you really can't complain about the money. And y'all, $90,000 and there's 50,000 of y'all. Like, come on, man. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I graduated from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. As an alumni, we are expected to give a minimum every year of $1,000. That's a minimum that we're supposed to give back to that college.
Okay, and Jason, how you doing? It says Deion, I always been selfish. Wrote the blacks back only to sign and pull an Uncle Ruckus. And October Open says, I believe. Where'd it go? It says, I believe it when the check hit my account. Okay, honest comment. He says, I get it 100%, but who's going to give us $350 million a piece? Now you're being ridiculous. I said, talking about Donovan, your statement as far as how much is truly owed. And Speak Your Mind says the Bible says money is the root of all kinds of evil, but God shall be slinging these millions around. So it says the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah. What was the comment previously? What do you mean? What is actually owed in
it says
reparations?
It says, I get it 100%, but who's going to give us $350 million a piece? Now you're being ridiculous.
No. See, I hate when people do not listen to what somebody's saying. You're processing it wrong. It is estimated as a bare minimum. $17 trillion is owed to FBA, foundational blacks, descendants of slaves. 17 trillion. 17 trillion divided by 8% of the black population, which is what they estimate to be actually foundational blacks. That's significant money. No. Are we going to get $350 million? No. But that is what is owed to us. That is the bill that is presented to the United States government. It might even be more than that. But just because it isn't going to happen, or you think it's not going to happen, then just sign up, waive your check, because when it does come, long after I'm dead, or when it does come, I want to make sure my kids get what their ancestors collect. And you got to understand this, because by that thinking, when your parents die and they leave you the house, basically what you're saying is you don't deserve the house. That last check that your dad worked at the company, you don't deserve that last check. That's basically what you're saying. Black slaves worked and built this country. All we're saying is we want what is due ours, no more and no less. That's all we're saying.
All right, let's see here. Who else came on here? Tracy Thompson, how you doing? He says, how about he is creating an opportunity to the young people that don't have the opportunity to have a D1 school, consider them. That's another great, excellent point. And Brother Sammy says, I heard 5-star say he believes DPN ultimate goal is, I think he meant Deion's ultimate goal is to build to a level where he will send up his assistant's alma mater, FSU. Okay, that was here with me, like.
Yeah, one of the most famous alumni to come out of Colorado. Well, there's a couple of them, but one that I can remember is how many guys remember Cordell Stewart? He came out of the Buffalo program there years ago, and he was married to Portia Williams. So.
And Khalil, he said, y'all more mad at Coach Prime when you should be mad at Brett Favre. Yeah, I'm not mad at Coach Prime, but I totally agree with you. Brett Favre was just, ran away with millions of dollars of the welfare fund in Jackson, Mississippi. Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the nation, if not the poorest state. And he took it, doesn't need the money, and the people are just for kind of glossing over it, not giving it the attention it deserves. But like you said, with Coach Deion, is like, oh my God, how can you do this to us? But it's like, I mean, he's leaving to make a personal decision. Nobody's actually being harmed, I don't know, but you make a good point. And Kiana, you say, when Deion came to Washington and robbed us, we gave him $8 million signing bonus, and he gave us nothing but a bad toe. Oh, do tell. And JC says, free. He was supposedly making 300 plus. Sure bonus. He was coaching, not for the kids. Like he said, he's doing it for his own himself. Okay. And Damien says, how much tax on that $250,000 package? You're talking about the reparation of California. Hopefully there's none, right? And
by the way, usually with reparations and things like that, that's non-taxable. Right. They're not supposed to tax that at all.
Yes, and let the redeem say so. How you doing? He says, yes, natural texture hair, Queen Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have to wear my hair like this because I work out a lot and I sweat a lot. And it's an issue. So it's the best way I can do it, unless I'm gonna throw some, just for me on it, and I'm not gonna perm my hair. So here we go, right? But thank you. And Swayze said he's a sellout, but he's bringing his kids with him, make it make sense. So you're saying, how can both be true? Is he a sellout? How can he be a sellout if he's actually bringing the kids and helping them? Is that what you're saying? And Franklin, how you doing? He says, I'm not sure why people are so upset that they think that he would stay forever. I think he made it clear long ago that he wanted to coach at a Power 5 school. Okay, so he said that. And Yahweh, how are you doing? Jay Sanders, what's going on? He says, speak for yourself, brother. Kiki says, oh, why did I think they were married? Okay, cool. I like them together. Yeah, they're not married yet. They've been Tracy and Deion.
Right. And then why is it that we think that only Prime could do that? There are thousands of good young Black coaches and female coaches out there that could lead programs. That's our problem. We put all our eggs on one person and put all this weight on them to do what it is. If he moves on, that's great. That gives an opportunity for a up and coming young coach at Jackson State to improve on the system that Deion put in place and improve it. But we just think once this guy goes, oh, it's over, it's the end of the world. No, it's not. There's going to be a young coach that's going to come in there and it's going to keep Jackson State a powerful entity within itself, hopefully.
Hello, Judah Lives. You say Tracy Edmond has her own personal wealth of $60 million and her family is worth $1 billion. Damn. So yeah, she is a sugar mama, huh? That's good to know, I guess. And Mallow Factory says Donald Trump also said he would fund his own campaign. That was a complete lie, right?
Well, we know anything Donald Trump says isn't necessary. It isn't the truth. We know that. So,
hello, 2 cents, and you say your kids. Okay, and the Dershawn, you say I agree with Mr. Donovan. And the Oracle Delphi says, "Amen, Donovan, pay us what we're owed." Now, again, remember we're talking about California. We're not talking about federally. We're just talking about the state of California to its own Black constituents that are considered aid, also not federally but statewide. All right, Michael says, Donovan, why not more money in cash reparations? And Steve, how are you doing? Says, good evening, King, Queen and King. All that money they're sending to the Nazis, getting to fight against each other, give us our goddamn money, Dixiecrat. So you talking to Joe Biden? Yes, Deadshot, how are you doing? Robin says, some people that's making all this noise about what's owed to us don't have one issue with their tax dollar going to Ukraine. Are those illegals coming across the border? Make that make sense. Good point. Brother Samuel, let's see here. You say, I meant to say 5-star believes his ultimate stop is Florida State University. Okay, got it. Thank you. And Perry says, Brett Favre is the welfare king. Yes, he is. I don't think he likes that title too much. Only Pamela's way. He says, and why haven't the cops arrested Brett Favre? Now, you know the answer to that. Thank you, Kiana. I appreciate you for that. And Beverly Gunn, how are you doing? It says, Black first. Reparations now. Cut the check. No tangibles, no vote. Yes, indeed. And B. Slaughter, the commissioner, how are you doing? You say 2 swag titles and still crying. And so you're talking about the people who are complaining about him leaving. And Judah, he says, there is no price for slavery. They could keep their money. Well, let me have your check if we get it. And DL OB 2010, how you doing? Say laugh out loud. And who else? James, how are you doing? It says Deion Sanders saw Jackson State as a stepping stone to bolster his coaching resume, and it's just that simple. He put Jackson State on the map, and people should be grateful for what he did. I could see that. Damon says Brett Favre, hashtag white privilege. That's not feelings. How you doing? It says peace and love, family. We need to stop waiting for Jesus to come save us. Sanders is one man. He did his job, build on his legacy. That would be optimal, right? See, no, he says Jackson State should go get Michael Vick to coach yesterday. Yes, somebody else threw his name in there as well. Let's see who else came on here. And let's see, Quinny, I haven't seen you in a while. He says, I just hear a lot of jealousy of a lot of hate, which do not make any sense. We need to challenge yourself mentally and stop thinking a low vibration energy elevates people. There is. Yeah, I agree with you. All right. And Jarrell's, how you doing? He says, Jackson State was on the map before him. He ain't putting nothing on the map that wasn't already there. So you're saying they already had a name and a reputation out there. It wasn't like they was under a rock. And then Deion came and they were discovered all of a sudden. Is that what you're saying? And let's see here. The Rocky says, oh, I got to the bottom. I can't believe it. Says, I played quarterback for 4 years at the U.S. Air Force Academy. I will coach at Jackson State. And you'd probably be damn good at it too. So throw your hat in the ring. And Shay Smith, he says, Coach Prime has been very transparent from the beginning. I wish folks would just celebrate the wins or change the narrative. I could dig it. 2 cents says, I want to lay you down. What? All right. Raphael, how you doing? He says, false. B. Slaughter says, the commissioner, go get Michael Irving to be the next coach. And Ray's Launge, he says, I'm a white dude, and I know he will do well at Colorado. He ain't settling for less. Well, personally, no, he's not settling for less. I mean, like I said, you're not going to make an argument out of the rest of 1.2 million, which was 300,000, and $25 million. I mean, it's like, do you want to eat a mud pie or do you want to eat real cake? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? Let's say he did turn it down. people, and I'm not saying our co-hosts in the chat would be saying this, but there would be a lot of people would be calling him a damn fool. A lot of people would be calling him a damn fool.
Yes, indeed. And Sizzle 425, how you doing? He says, that's right, bro. Next man, coach up. Yes, indeed. And Jason Smith, he says, everyone wants a challenge. He just left JSU in a great place. Coach Prime is trying to put stamp on the next level. Congratulations to him and his staff, and go crush it. Yeah, I mean, and that's where we should be at, congratulate him. And hopefully his stepping stone also becomes a stepping stone for everybody else, right? And why of Israel, how you doing? He says, Prime did his job, time to move on. This happens all the time in sports. That is true. And Perry says, the great Walter Payton came from Jackson State. All right, so definitely was not hidden under a rock somewhere and people just didn't know about it. What the hell? 2 cents, what is your own? I'm reading the comments and I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I do got a moderator in there that is very swift with the block button if you're on some nonsense. Let's see here. And Ray says 25 million plus all the resources. Yep. John G says, how do you people think the kids feel? They said that the kids are, really kind of discouraged or disappointed that he is leaving. But I did hear when he was, talking to the team, he was like, don't make any, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, rash decisions, reach out to me. And so I can help you talk through it. So don't go do nothing that you're going to regret type of thing. So he did say that to them. Damon says hidden language in the California reparation package. Oh, I'm sure of it.
Oh, yeah. Some of that hidden language will probably you have to give up your rights to any further money. And so that's why I'm looking, if this thing does come through, you better read the fine print. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just one of those people. It's like, it's cool because, people give Gavin Newsom a hard time. And it's like, you got people talking about reparations. It's like, when people, and I get it, we know it's probably going to be some fine print up off in there, but I'm one of those people trying to tend to be a little bit more positive because let's admit it, Gavin Newsom has moved really quickly on that. He's moved really quick from 2020 to 2021 from signing a commission, into a study to get that going to actually saying we have met. And he didn't meet with just, white people. He met with a whole bunch of black people, experts on reparations and things like that. And they came up with that number for just for Californians. And so will there be some hidden language? Yeah, I'm sure there will. But let's wait and see till we get that. Because this is not the thing too, I think. And this is not a admonishment to anybody. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of speaking. We got to start being a little bit more positive. I know as being black in America, there's not a lot that we can feel positive about. But let's wait and see, right? Let's wait and see before we start saying, I don't know about that. Because, $223,000 is on the table. I think we should be lining up to get it if that indeed is the case. So,
yeah, well, and I just want to say this, Gavin, it was the Democratic House or Assembly that had the bill. Remember, the executive is just the person, he can suggest a certain thing, and then the Assembly or the Congress has to move on it. The lawmakers are the lawmakers. He's the executive. He is quick to sign a lot of great bills that are in front of him. So I'm going to give him that credit. But the initial thing of it came out of the Assembly. So.
Yes, indeed. And Gil Veta, yes, he says Demetra K, and I'm actually going to cover that one next week as well. He says Demetra, a story that can be covered. News about a 10-year-old that killed his mother over virtual headsets. Is this a child where his mental illness took over, or just a child that is evil? And I should also say, too, in that case, they are trying him as an adult. It wasn't in Detroit. I can't remember where it was exactly, but they are going to try him as an adult, a 10-year-old who they said was vindictive and doing that to his mother because it was, I guess, it was about a game, a game or something he wanted to play, and he shot her in her head. So they said that he meant to do it, that he was a little bit on the evil side. So they're deciding to charge him as an adult. I don't necessarily agree with the adult thing because he's 10 years old, and who he'll be when he's an adult may not be who he is at 10. And I tend to think that if a child is 10 years old and he thought that was the thing he should do to his mother, I want to know where did he get that ideology from at such a young age. So very interesting. And Matt Marcus says, when will Byron Smith get an offer from a private white institution? You say he's doubled the number of regular season conference championships at Prairie View A&M in 3 years. And Jarrell's, you said, so basically everybody's saying white acceptance is better than helping their own people. Crazy to me. Well, I'm not saying that at all. I said, I'm saying that I think we should be logical and realistic in our thinking to think that, I mean, can you, Jarrell's, let me ask you, would you pass up $25 million over opposed to $1.2 million? Would you personally do that? And I'm asking, no judgment, by the way. Darshan says the only thing for us to do revelation is to have our own communities the most important to raise our babies and children. That is our reputation and nothing else. And Steve, you say black peoples, y'all can say whatever you want. Coach Prime, remember, if you don't win here, comes the death threats and the N-word. That's something to think about, right? Yes, thank you, 2 cents. I appreciate that. He says, I'm a chill and that cordial. There you go. Michael says, Demetra, you have been living in Houston, Texas for 2 years. How are you acclimating in terms of the people and culture, etc.? Not really. I don't go outside much. I stay in the house a lot. It's the gym, the grocery store, maybe the movies, maybe out to a restaurant, but that's rare, and home. That's really about it. I'm not acclimating at all. That's a whole different story. Cino says, Prime will put JSU on the non-conference schedule and pay the school well. Okay. Khalil says, Coach Prime was like, I got my check and I was gone in my Uncle Elroy voice. Okay. That's Not Feeling says, congrats to Prime Time. I hope his next check is $1 billion. He has made billions for these slimy NFL owners and corporations. That is true. Be slaughtered. The commissioner, he says, JSU alumni was slacking on the funds. That's why he left. Yeah, they wrong for that. You can't have all the school pride and you only giving $1.80, per alumni. That's whack.
A lot of the money that goes to HBCUs goes to the administrators that are there, and all the and no shame to the sorority folks that all this whatever sorority stuff, that whatever you guys do. But my son went to Hampton University, and the president of the university was making over $600,000 a year. But yet the dorms there were just atrocious.
Yes, indeed. All right. So let's see here. My comment skipped up. Where did I leave off? And the Fraternal House, how you doing? And let's see. Darshan says Jackson, Mississippi is the poorest state. So yeah, that's what I thought. Jackson is the city in Mississippi. Yep, absolutely. Damon says the commission will end in 2024. Okay. I don't know why I heard 2023, but I'm probably wrong. It's 2024. Kimberly says $200,000 is nothing. Gavin moves so quickly. You best believe there's something behind it. Yeah, I'm sure there probably is. Brother Samuel says it's probably good that JSU promotes from within with someone who has been trained in the newly established winning tradition and training style, and maybe couple that with a recognizable name for marketing purposes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It sounds like you say agreed. And a Roadrunner, how you doing? You say, the only thing that hurts me is the kids that followed him who could have already been at a Power 5 now and have to enter the portal and hope they land at a good spot. Yeah, that's, and hopefully he has a little bit more pull and, helping those kids out, because that would be a shame. And Perry says, cut the damn checks. We're on a mission. Absolutely. And Robin says, I wish Deion well. The haters need to keep that same energy at the voting polls since they want to set the standard that Deion should have with black folks. Good point. And The Rock says, Demetra, what number did Newsom come up with in California for FBA? The commission, what I understand, came up with $223,000, and that's just for money. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that they're, proposing. So it's a proposal right now, I guess, after they crunched numbers. And Queenie, you says everybody is trash. And this man, so my question is, what are you doing? What are you supporting to build your community to help your favorite college? Are you asking us what are we doing to help our favorite college? Well, I don't necessarily have a favorite college, but I always say this because we get this question quite a bit, like, what are you doing? I just say a lot of times we try to go out there and save the world. But my question is, have you saved the people you sleep under the same roof with? So many people on this thing, the internet or whatever, they out there, black people should do this. Black people should do that. It's like, why are you having a conversation at the dinner table with your mama and your daddy, your kids, your husband, your wife? Or are you out there trying to save the world? Because listen, you can't save the world if you ain't saved the people you know and you touch and talk to on a daily basis. So I say this is the best way to help the community, is to educate the people under your roof, or the friends and family that you know. And then if everybody does that, then the community will be better off. That's my opinion. Like, I'm not one of those people say I'm gonna put on my cape and strap it around my neck and go try to help other people. I ain't help my own people in my house, right? So I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer you was looking for, but let's see here. Let me just skip down a little bit. Michael says, Demetra and Donovan, both of you need to demand cash payment, at least $1 million a year per resident. That's what I'm talking about. Yes,
I still think that's too low.
Well, I mean, yeah, you know, but let's be realistic. I mean,
what can $1 million buy you in the modern age? I'm just saying.
GA Fit Healthy says that kid was all bad from the start, and he had a 10-year-old. Yeah, that's just, it's a lot going on there. And Ryan says, why do we feel like black athletes owe HBCUs anything? Why would we think these ex-NFL players will want to come out of retirement and leave broadcaster's career to come coach college football? Coaching is a 24/7 job, and we see how soon we turn on each other. Why we want Chad Johnson and Ray Lewis to take a pay cut, make it make sense. Yeah, you make a good point. Jason, he says, if more coaches would be more role models instead of employees, the players would be in a better place mental state when they transition into new roles or different organizations. Yes, indeed. And Kim Alabama, how you doing? Says, well, first of all, Deion will probably be hiring black assistant coaches to help them shine so they can get to the next level in their career. And that would be really good if he did. So I agree with you. And Michael says the reparations will have to be approved by Newsom and other lawmakers. That is true. Franklin, you say, I grew up 15 miles from JSU. They haven't been relevant since before I left in the late 80s. Walter Payton did attend JSU, but he left in 74. Yeah, that's quite a gap there. And the Rock said, yes, and Donovan he says, Brother Donovan, that will be lineage based, right? Yes, of course. There's a lot of other people who are black, but not of American, I guess, descent, if you will. They were trying to get in on the conversation, the reparations during the commission, and they're like, no, this ain't for y'all. This is for, ADOS and ADOS only, not for everybody else.
Right. And here in California, and the news don't report this, Hispanics are fighting hard that black people do not get any reparations. As a matter of fact, they're setting up to where they believe that they should get it.
Yes, indeed. And so, Jarrell, you say, I would for the chance at building a whole black state. He literally had the chance to build an empire. Yeah, but, hypotheticals are easier to answer than the real deal. But I'll take you at your word. I take you at your word that you said that you would. So you basically saying you would leave the $25 million on the table to help build an empire. So, okay. And Gilberto says, Demetra in Wisconsin, he's in Wisconsin. He's going to a therapist for help, and his older sister stated he had anger issues. At 10 years old. Okay, so yeah, he already had issues from what I understand. But yeah, I just don't advocate trying him as an adult. I think that's it's I don't want to say dangerous in regards to what he did to his mom, but I just personally don't like it. He also said after killing his mother, he unlocked her Amazon account and ordered the virtual headset to play his game. So yeah, he got some Michael Myers vibes going on there, from what it sounds like, And Braden, how you doing? He says people are just in their feelings. Yeah, I agree with you. Kimberly says positivity does not change the history of this country and how Afro-Americans have been conned out of a lot of things. Example, the Mississippi Delta history of black land theft. Always read the fine print. So no, I'm not saying that we are being positive to where it's toxic. I'm just saying we don't even know what's all involved in this, reparations from California, and then we kind of shooting it down. It's like, damn, let's see what there is to see first. That's all I'm saying as far as being positive. I'm not saying like click your heels 3 times and wish it all better. No, I'm not saying that at all, but I do get what you're saying. Thank you, 2 cents. And let's see here. Okay, Michael, you say you updated your black agenda. That is black oriented. Did you receive my black agenda? 10/23/22. I did read it. I did receive it. And Only Countless Way says, I don't believe nothing they're saying about that child. When have they ever been concerned about black people? 400 years says otherwise. Okay. Khalil says, but to be honest, you always get a little hate when you promote at any job on any level. Just comes with it. That is true. And Couture Bay, how are you doing? He says, there are people at top 5 schools riding the bench. Deion did what was smart for him. He is getting older, not younger. That is true. Good point. And Dershawn says Chad Johnson would be next head coach, Jackson State. Okay. And Couture Bay, you say that the alumni didn't even want to donate their own school. That's crazy. Yeah, they ain't got nothing. They can't be mad at, because somebody said that on average it was $1.80 per all the alumni. It's like, yeah, y'all need to shut the hell up. And Uncle Weedy, how you doing? It says, I think we are just upset because you can't preach us, and then go at a place where the whole state is 4% black. Yeah, those white folks are happy to have him over there. Jason says, if more coaches would be role models instead of employees, the players would be in a better mental state when coaches transition to different organizations. And Cino says, I took my daughter to Texas Southern University to look for enrollment. We both turned around. That campus was so downtrodden down. Yeah, and the neighborhood is like, shade to the neighborhood, but it's just like, wow. You would think that they would do, and I would say too, it looks unsafe. That's what I will say. It looks unsafe.
Yeah, I remember my ex-wife, she was taking classes at Alabama State University. Right in the heart of where Alabama State University is a housing project. And it was scary as hell just to get to the school.
Yeah, so it's, that's something to consider. And Studio, how you doing? He says he went from making $300 to $7 million. It's actually $5 million a year. So yeah, And Artemis, she says $250,000 is not enough for all the townships that was destroyed, and not to mention the loss of life. We need to revisit it in the future, and you have to prove that your ancestors were slaves. So that is true. I'm never going to argue that.
Yeah, and it's not hard to prove your ancestors were slaves. We're only talking 4 generations back. That's all we're talking. A lot of people will make it seem like it was 500, 600 years ago. That's not true. And slaves were property. So at the National Archives, all the receipts and stuff is in the National Archives. The insurance companies, all of it. And they know this. This is why they keep playing this political ball with reparations, because they don't want to pay it.
Yes, indeed, Steve. What y'all doing to help y'all HBCUs?
I know I gave thousands of dollars to Hampton University when my son went there. Okay, I could say that.
Yes, and JR2NO, NO1, how you doing? It says anyone with a minimum understanding of how the system works, plus the legacy / equity prime increase and left JSU with, shouldn't be tripping over this. Yeah, and a lot of people just don't know what there is to know. So I totally get what you're saying. And Artemis, she says, next week, can we dive into this in more depth? We absolutely can. You talk about the reparations in California. We absolutely. And the Rocket says, Brother Donovan, on the federal level, we need $100 million apiece. Yeah, I like that number too. And 7, Jason, I think that's how you say, how you doing? He says, proud of you, Deion. Definitely know your sons and daughters are. And Crystal Vegan Smith, how are you doing? He says, I'm not mad because Deion always said he was listening to offers. It was other people who kept saying he will not leave. Got you. So he wasn't saying that. They were saying that. Steve says, parents stop raising them little entitled ass kids. Yeah, that's why I said, how did the 10-year-old get that way? I mean, we do really need to talk about that, right? Michael says, Donovan and Demetra, $1 million can buy you a decent apartment in San Francisco, California, just barely, right? 2 cents, she says, block by block, that's how we destroy neighborhoods. Why not build that way? I agree with you totally. And Montrese, how are you doing? Queenie says, I don't understand our history has told us, our ancestors has left us all a blueprint. We have to keep building on that. And they definitely left us a blueprint, right? Like, so there's no excuse at this point. And Brother Samuel says, question, is it better for one person to give 1,000 or 1,000 people to give $1? Well, one person, I think it's better for 1,000, obviously, to give $1. It's easier, I would argue, right? It's easier. Now, you're the mathematician, but I would argue that it's easier for 1,000 people to give $1. Like, I mean, come on, who couldn't give $1? So you got 50,000 alumni. Sounds like they all gave just slightly over $1, but it's like, damn, what would happen if y'all gave 10, 15, 20?
Well, then you got to think about 1,000 people. And I agree with it. I think it's better for 1,000 people to give $1 because then you got 1,000 people vested in that school or in that project.
Got you. And Kazir Soze, I hope I said that right. How you doing? It says, except he's taking the white assistant to Colorado and leaving the black ones. For real? Is that true? Wow. All right. And let's see here. And do it. I hope I said that right. I know I didn't. Amon Ra. He says the football team will be 70% black men who will graduate at 80% rate, and he will still help lots of black men who will be productive go to the NFL. Go Prime. All right. Let's see here. And T.O., you say ADOS. Yes, indeed. And Roblox game girl here. Says Joe Manchin in cinema. He says, got in the way, not Joe Biden's fault. You need the votes in the Senate. Uh-oh. And T.O., he says he was harming animals. So you talking about who? Michael Vick? Is that who we talking about? And let's see here. Honest comment says the average annual income in America is $64,000. Will likely never get what's owed, but $1 million with proper investing is significant. I can dig it. Brother Sammy says we look for one person to do it all instead of all of us uniting and coming together to solve our problems. I totally agree with you. Two Sisters says we moving too fast. What the F? What you mean? And Guns and Butter, how you doing? It says if it was Nick Saban leaving your favorite school, not a word will be said by black folks. Yeah, most people don't even know who he is.
Well,
right?
I think Urban Myers is available.
I don't even know who that is. And Bernard, how you doing? It says Deion should get his money, but he should vet and help pick the next coach to replace him. It sounds like that's what he's trying to do there at Jackson State University. And Crystal Vegan, you says people keep saying Deion Sanders left the blueprint, and I say what blueprint? Deion was the blueprint. Oh, good point. And let's see here. Michael says, Demetra, after you read my Black Agenda, what do you think about my proposal suggestions? I thought it was pretty good. I have to actually study it. I just read over, but for what I saw, I thought it was really interesting. But I actually have to, really look into it. And thank you for sending that, by the way. And Super Patriot, how you doing? He says, I haven't seen that case. We'll have to check on that. And Mike Ward, how are you? He says, people will fall for anything. This is a political stunt by another Democratic candidate to screw over a voting bloc. Don't trust any politicians. Yeah, I can agree with that. Facts Not Feeling says, I will read the fine print when it comes to California reparations. Fine print may say if you take this reparations, you can't get from the federal government. But let me ask y'all this. This is kind of the dichotomy that people have Deion in. Well, he should stay for Jackson State for the $1.2 million and not get the $25 million. But let me ask you this. Even if that was the fine print, how many black people will say, nah, I'm gonna wait and see if Joe Biden and them give me my $100 million a year.
Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed.
Because let's not lie to kick it. Let's not do that. In theory, it's cute, but in real life, it's like there's some guaranteed money here, guaranteed $230,000, and this money that Joe Biden already said, I'm not gonna be responsible for what my ancestors did. So I don't know. In Facts Not Feelings, you say I will read the fine print when it comes to California reparations. Fine print may I say if you take this reparations, I think I read that one. You can't get it from the federal government. And then John G says, I live in Houston. He is correct. And Quentin E says, hey, I hope he says, I hope to get to know you and be in touch with you. I am planning a transition to Houston. Okay. Definitely. Yeah, I don't go out much. I'm new here 2 years. So I don't know anybody here type of thing. So it's been rough for your girl. I ain't gonna lie. It's been really rough. Just acclimating and just being a fish out of water and all of that. Sometimes it's a mental trip for me. I will say that. And let's see. And JoJo Jones, how you doing? Says Deion dancing to his song. It must be the money. Two Sisters says going to college to get high-paying jobs and shut the F up. Yeah, well, that's what a lot of people are doing. Unfortunately, those jobs aren't paying the loans off, though. And Walt says Black people are still being hung and beaten to death. In the late 80s, a Black man was drugged behind a truck, decapitated. Yeah, that was James Byrd, I think you're talking about, in Jasper, Texas. I don't think it was in the 80s. I think it was like the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. The same difference, right? And let's see here. Kim Alabama says, it's always an issue when someone black takes a job that the dominant society controls, but I'm happy for Deion. Yes. Facts Not Feeling says, USA is going to destroy the value of the dollar and then quickly give reparations. I see it coming in a mile away. White supremacy will never give anything completely without taking it back another way. And, let's keep it real. A lot of us going to give that money back anyway. So we need to condition ourselves not to do that before the money comes. And Emmett, you say random anyone, Tube in Joe Madison on Sirius XM Urban View. I don't really listen to him much. He been kind of weird the last couple of years. When he went on a hunger strike until, what was it that he was wanting Congress to do? I think it was the qualified immunity or the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act or something like that. He was waiting for the pass, and that was last year during Thanksgiving. He had lost a lot of weight.
And he ain't gonna do it. We tried.
Right. Let's say Walt says a 39-year-old father was shot and killed by his 2-year-old son and 2 nephews last week. Jesus. We definitely need to do something, right? Jay Bubba says, but we got people at these HBCUs that keep mismanaging or stealing the money. Now that's an issue too. That is an issue. Super Patriot says more people giving is definitely better. Yep. And Coffee, how you doing? It says, what you will do for color ink paper. It says, what you will do for color ink paper that you will not do for your people. Color ink paper is not God. A big mistake. You're sending out the wrong message. And forgive me, I don't even know what that's in reference to. If you can break that down. D Staff, how you doing? It says, ever headbutt someone to get their mind right? I don't want nobody to do it to me either. See, it says now my daughter's now attending Florida A&M, but she stays near the Florida State campus, which is 2 blocks away. Laugh out loud. And Jay says, not true. He showed the linebacker coaches, and they were black, and the coach he got from Texas A&M was black. So you're saying he's not taking the white one and leaving the black ones. Okay. I didn't think that would be the case, but Tawana says that 10-year-old boy injured a puppy at 4 years old. He had been in therapy for his anger issues. My God. I'm interested to know what's the history behind him, right? Some people, they're organically off, if you will, but was there something else to him? All right, let's get on to it. Now we 2 hours in, and let's see. And Perrin, how you doing? 78, how you doing? He says we are talking about the football coach and not why students are not going to HBCUs. Right. Well, we know they're not going because there's not a lot of opportunities there, as it would be for the private white institutions. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Joe Jones, you're saying they can give us reparations. We ain't gonna do nothing but give the money right back. You know what I'm saying? And our studio says, if you think California is going to give out reparations, you are crazy. There were no slaves in California. Oh, yes, there were. So you got to do your research. Yes, there were. And let's see here. It's my pleasure. Michael says, Demetra, you're welcome. Please let me know when you are ready to discuss a proposal and implement policies and solutions to help your people. Okay. And Steve says, Joe Biden, the Dixiecrat, ain't going to give y'all. And he said it. I mean, so it's not a secret. He said he ain't going to do it, right? Damon says, take 250 and get investment advice from Donovan. He said LFG. Okay. And Cino says, I can flip $230,000 and still donate to HBCUs. Yeah. So again, how many people going to say, nah, y'all keep that money. I'm going to wait for the big payoff. I'm going to wait, or I'm going to wait for the jackpot. All right. And so Quinny says, Kay, living in Oakland, California. So I hope to get my reparations. Yeah, I was born in Oakland. I'm a California native as well. I'm gonna see how that works out, but I'm gonna make sure I get my money if it come down the pipes. I won't mind. John G. Yes, that was Jasper, Texas. Where James Byrd was had that done to him. And Roblox says, no, you do not lose eligibility. Okay, Crystal Vegan, you say the name of the Recovering Democrat is hilarious. All HBCU school enrollments went up in the last 2 years, and they have received a record amount of donations. So those are positives to take away. Okay. And Brother Sammy says, Demetra, here's a mathematical point of the day. Prime means the main part of a mathematically. A prime number is divisible by exactly 2 factors. Oh my God, you already lost me. Says it's in 1, meaning you are prime when the opinions that matter is God. Number 1, yourself. Lastly, prime on geometry is what you call the transform figure. In Transformers, you had Optimus Prime. So there must have been an Optimus. I'm going to have to reread that one, brother. Super Patriot says, hunger strikes ain't for me. Yeah, And Kimberly says, Afro-Americans need more roundtables on what we want reparations and restitution to look like before we accept anything with the conversation on how it will affect our future generations. I agree with you on that. And Damon says, I'm on hunger strike, not spending money. This in any holiday season is the Vita Snakes of America. I'm right with you, brother. So I guess I'm on a hunger strike too. And Marnie, how you doing? Says, much love. Detroit love, my gorgeous people. I'm in a little late. Had to charge up my phone. Much Detroit love, Demetra. Please bring back your lipstick and keep it on your signature, Donovan, my brown sugar. Boo! I think about it. And Mr. Competent, how you doing? He says, everyone deserves to get a promotion. I agree. And Amoni says, I would like to know, Demetra, did y'all water? Yes, come back on. And how does that make you feel in Republican State where they're failing you in both heat and water? Tell me how you feel. Yes, the water came back on later on that Monday, so it was bad on Sunday morning. We didn't get the notice until like Monday. Came back on Monday night. Then some other people got more notices saying that the water was bad. I drink bottled water anyway, but I don't like being in a Republican state, especially one that's this austere with the nonsense. And you talk about the heat where the grid failed. Was it 2021 and 700 people died due to freezing to death and a whole bunch of other stuff. So yeah, it's horrible. Damon says, Miss K, did they square away the water? Yes, they say it is. I don't know. I'm drinking bottled water until further notice. And Morning says, I would love for Donovan to answer Republicans. So many of you thought you were going to have a red wave and you didn't. And I'd like to know, a lot of Republicans is highly upset right about now. Well, I didn't think anything. I'm nonpartisan, so I didn't think anything. The studio, you say California had no laws allowing slavery. Black slaves were brought to California with their Southern owners. That is not true. California,
not true.
They did have some slaves. And in fact, they also returned a lot of runaway slaves back to their slave owners from the South. So they did have slavery. A lot of people just think that they don't, because you rarely hear about it as much as you do the South and even the North. But California indeed did have slaves. And
California was brought into the Union as a non-slave holding state. But at the time, before the, what was that guy? The Dred Scott decision was made, you were still property. So, they could bring you into the state. And then we think of slavery, unfortunately, we always think about blacks. In California, you had Indians and indigenous people that were also enslaved. So a lot of people don't talk about that.
Yeah. So look it up. There definitely was slavery in California. So, I mean, come on now. If there wasn't, they wouldn't be talking about, some sort of a reparations if it wasn't. So,
right. And then, like I said earlier in the show, Hispanics are trying to stop blacks from getting reparations. But at the same time, they are moving legislation so that they get reparations because they were enslaved. So there it goes.
Yes, in studio, it was legal in California. So, and forgive me, the name of the law that escapes me that says that they, basically had to return the slave back to the owner, even if they made it to what? So I think this is where the confusion is. California was considered a free state. They still did participate in slavery, not to the degree that they did in the South, but they did participate in it. And in often cases, they did return slaves back to their masters per se. And forgive me, the law escapes my mind, but there was a law that said that they had to do that. Hello, Bape Rax, how you doing? And Super Patriot says they captured free black people and forced them into slavery. Yeah, so the research is there.
And there was a movie on it, 12 Years a Slave.
And D-Stat says it was kind of cool to be in San Antonio with a foot of snow. Oh, it's snowing? Oh, you talking about in the 2021? And let's see here. And Only Pamela's Way says, Donovan, a lot of our people don't know this, and it's up to us to educate them on it otherwise. Yes, and Studio says the Indians stole my grandfather's child, so the Indian tribes in California had slaves. Oh, yeah, they had them everywhere. And El Guevara says, thanks, fam, for the great conversation, opinion, and suggestion. Yes. And Crystal, you say the main problem with politics is far left and far right. Most of us are in the middle. We should be, right? And Super Patriot says, don't think for a minute those white northern people gave a damn. Exactly. Brother Samuel says, Donovan, make the point you made last show where Biden pushed for student loan relief because he knew it would be held up for something and that he could pass on executive order. And yes, that's what it was, Don, the Fugitive Slave Act. Thank you so much for that. And let's see here. And Brother Hammond says, are you talking about Dred Scott decision, Demetra? No, it wasn't that one. I believe it's the Fugitive Slave Act. That's the one I was thinking about. Not the Dred.
The Dred Scott decision came after that one, and it just affirmed the fugitive slave law, saying that Dred Scott had no rights as a person, even though he was on free land. He's still property. So that's where it was at.
Yes, indeed. So that is our time. We're going to get out of here. We love and appreciate y'all for being here for this wonderful Sunday. So please enjoy the rest of the evening.
Dallas Cowboys are on TV right now and about to start playing. So America's team, you guys need to get your popcorn, get everything ready. Cowboys.
We was doing so well. And then you mentioned the Cowboys. You know, Jerry Jones's name is mud off in them streets, right? I just want to put that out there.
How many of you guys have seen that meme where they found Stephen Smith in the picture?
Hilarious. So yes, you guys are saying that they did participate. So anyway, y'all, we love and appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. We will be back here live on Wednesday, but on Tuesday, Donovan and I do a podcast. It is not live. We voice our opinions about certain things. Usually it's kind of like an argument. Pretty interesting, though. Nevertheless, so Wednesday we'll be back here live with Walter, and that is our money show. And we talk about topics and things like that. And we also talk about how to make and save, invest money and all of that. And, Walter is, a lot of fun. So we also have ways to donate to the channel, PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. Become a member, like the video, subscribe, do all the above, at least do one of them. And thank you so much for being here, Donovan. What say you before we get out of here?
I just want to address Samuel's question, what he's saying about the student loan debt relief. There is no law, there is no legislation, there's no rule. The president can unilaterally forgive all federal student debt with the stroke of a pen. That is a fact. Joe Biden knows that. Everybody that's in the know knows it. You do not need to go to Congress. You don't need anything. He has the power to forgive unlimited amounts of student debt with the stroke of a pen. Fact.
Babe Rax, what did you say? Let me donate to your stomach and take you to lunch, woman. Did you name the time and place? So anyway, we'll see y'all later. Mwah. Peace.